Welcome, everyone, and welcome to Say Yes to What Matters, a yogic mindset for creating harmony in the hustle. This concept of creating harmony in the hustle has been something that I I came up with this title for a little. It was maybe like a 10-page just workbook that I put together a couple of years ago, and then it just sort of started to transform into the name of this offering that I've been sharing for quite some time now, actually called Creating Harmony in the Hustle. And it really roots from my own personal experience as just somebody with a job, somebody who works, somebody who also just shows up for life as life is happening. Uh, we often, and me specifically, I'm talking mostly about my own journey, but a lot of people in my situation as well that are in really the yoga or wellness industry. I know, at least for me, I got into it because it helped me tremendously when I was trying to find balance, when I was trying to find peace of mind, when I was trying to feel better in my body, when I was trying to feel okay in my brain and actually connect with my soul and connect with spirit. And the yoga practices, and not just yoga, but also all wellness practices in general, helped me to do that. Because of that, it then became my career. But when something becomes a career, it can really, uh, a lot of muddy waters can start to enter in, because then we start to think about money, finances, all the things that come with what comes with having a job, right? Uh, Also working for other people or working with other people, aligning what's important for me and what's important for another person, what's important for their company. And what happened with me was I started saying yes to too many things, which caused me to burn out tremendously. I started to say yes, especially to situations that weren't paying me what I really wanted to get paid. I was definitely in situations where I was told that I should be grateful for having a job or having a position somewhere, and other people would be grateful to be in my situation, even though I wasn't really necessarily getting compensated for what it was that I felt I needed to be compensated for. So, I'm going to touch on all of that and just how I slowly started to navigate my way through situations like that, and how I ended up really being in a place that feels secure for myself, and how I learned to also say no to the things that weren't really helping me or driving me forward. So, uh, in this specific class, we're going to explore ways to align your business practices with some yogic principles while also creating space for self care and purpose. Uh, that sometimes, what's interesting about the word self care gets thrown around left and right, and it's sometimes considered like a luxury. Self care is, if you look at the word itself, it's caring for yourself, it's caring for myself. If I'm not caring for myself, how can I show up for the other people? Not even in my job, but what to speak of the people that are actually in my life and the people who I love and the people who actually matter. If I'm not getting the sleep that I need, if I'm not getting the compensation that I need for the work that I do, how can I actually show up for other people? Also, if I'm harboring any resentment, right? If I'm upset about a situation that I've allowed myself to get into, then I'll end up really, and I have ended up lashing out on people that I love instead of standing my own ground in some scenarios. And if I don't know you already, my name's Lisa Bermudez, and this class, this topic, the training that does come out of this was really born from my personal journey as a yoga teacher and just somebody trying to navigate how the heck to do what you love and get paid for it and not have to struggle and not have to feel like I'm taking on a million things and I only get 3 hours of sleep, right? How to actually feel like I'm in a balanced state. Um, Through doing workshops, through doing certain trainings, facilitating trainings, not just yoga trainings, but business trainings, Ayurveda trainings, and all things like that. A big common theme that often comes up with students and other teachers is that there's trouble navigating how to actually be balanced, how to actually keep up with the practices and the principles that led me on this path and stick with them and actually maintain a sense of balance. And something to just think about, you might jot this down if you want to jot this down. If you've got a pen and paper, I invite you to pull that out, or if you want to even share these in notes, or share these with me. What brought you to this workshop today? What's one challenge you want to address in your work life? And this is, again, this can be totally, totally private. A lot of what we do often go through in our work life sometimes can feel like uh, almost like, at least for me, I know that I've often felt like I'm navigating this alone and nobody feels the way that I do. Especially in my scenario, the majority of my family and my personal community, no, I don't have a ton of yoga teachers or wellness practitioners that are in my inner circle. It's mostly people that have 9 to 5 jobs, or people that do work for big companies. I'm not necessarily surrounded by a lot of people who are self-employed. So there's a lot of challenges that often come up for me, or have come up for me, and writing them down has just been another just transformational step in in figuring all of this stuff out, right? So what's one challenge that you want to address in your work life? There might be 5, there might be 10, but for right now, think about one. What is one challenge? And as you move through this class, as we move through this class, you can totally pause at whatever portions of this feel like need more of your time and more of your energy, or you can move along with me as I guide you along through the class. But if you need to sit with this for a little bit, definitely sit with it. And it's okay if you're not coming up with the challenge right now. It's an invitation to just think about what that challenge might be. So the hustle, the hustle. Something about the hustle is, I know I've often been praised for it. I've had many, many people in my life say, wow, you work X amount of hours a week and you've only gotten X amount of hours of sleep. Good for you. No, I would like to stop praising the hustle. I mean, it's one thing if I'm hustling towards my own self-care and I'm creating a little bit of a hustle towards creating a peace of mind for myself and a peaceful space for myself. But that hustle of the work life and trying to make people happy, trying to just meet ends meet, that's something that that we want to try to move away from, right? So the hustle, overcommitting to tasks and opportunities that do not serve your purpose, undervaluing your time and energy, feeling burnt out, unbalanced, and out of alignment with your values. For years, I definitely said yes to, in my case, in teaching yoga, lots of sub requests. Um, I definitely said yes to a lot of things because I was very fearful that if I said no, I would be forgotten about and I wouldn't get on the top of the list to get the work or get the job. And granted, there are certain times where we do have to say yes to certain things just to show that we're able to show up. But over time, over a long period of time, if that happens consistently over a long period of time, then it leads to burnout, it leads to the unbalance, and it leads to really falling out of alignment with values. So that was something that happened with me for sure. And it sort of started to feel like I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to get out of this constant hustle. Question for you is, what are you saying yes to that drains your energy? And again, this is something that you might just think about, something that you might just put in your mind to contemplate for the next couple of days. Or if there's something that you can specifically write down for yourself, you can go ahead and do that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be about work. Very often, and those of you that do work in either the wellness industry, the yogic industry, sometimes the work life and day-to-day life, the lines get blurred. There could be some gray area there because so much about right, doing what you love, it might feel like you're at work and you're loving what you're doing, or it might feel like, yeah, part of my job is to actually take a yoga class. Part of my job is to actually go out and do X, Y, and Z. So it doesn't necessarily have to be directly work related, but it could be anything. It could be anything that you're feeling like drains your energy, something that you are saying yes to that drains your energy. And no hurry, there's never any hurry, but enter yogic philosophy. So, for those of you that are not too familiar with what I mean when I say yoga philosophy, I'm directly referring to a couple of texts, a couple of very ancient texts. Two of those are the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali and the Bhagavad Gita. The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali is a text that really, if you've done a yoga teacher training or if you've taken a yoga class, you may have heard of this text. It doesn't necessarily deal with yoga asana, the physical poses directly. It's more about how to live a life in this human experience here on planet Earth that leads us away from suffering. So it talks a lot about mindset. It talks a lot about the nature of my thoughts and how they can frame my reality, and it really speaks a ton about how to move through this life in a way of being a little bit more aware of what it is that's challenging me, what it is that's hurting me, and moving towards the really the path of ease. And Bhagavad Gita is a text that it's another ancient text, and it's full of wisdom, full of yogic wisdom, full of wisdom on how to also live a life that is a little bit more easeful and graceful and just kinder. Bhagavad Gita, the difference between Yoga Sutras and Bhagavad Gita is that the Yoga Sutras, if you read the book cover to cover, or at least read the first one, two chapters, it can seem like it's a little difficult to follow because a lot of what Yoga Sutras teach is not conducive to a life here on planet Earth in this day and age. It's not conducive to a life if you have a job, a family, a mortgage, rent, a car payment, friends, things you want to do. Yoga Sutras teach a lot about just saying no to all of those things and turning a little bit more inward and moving beyond the body and reaching a place that isn't of this material world, right? I paraphrase that in way too short of a time, but it's a deep text. It's deep. However, it's full of a lot of nuggets of wisdom that give us the tools and the training to conquer the mind and to recognize that my mind can be my best friend or my worst enemy if I fine tune it the right way. So Yoga Sutras, they're deep. There's a lot of stuff in there, and there's a really dense text. Bhagavad Gita, though, Bhagavad Gita teaches us how to actually have a job, have a family, have duties that we have to do here on planet Earth, and also live in alignment with a yogic life or with a life that is that of balance. So Bhagavad Gita has the one of the main characters is Krishna, the god Krishna, and something that Krishna brings up throughout Bhagavad Gita is aligning action with purpose. And you'll often hear that referred to as Dharma, Dharma, and letting go of attachment and acting with devotion. So recognizing that there's a greater higher truth. I don't need to be looped into meeting the needs of certain materialistic things. In other words, yes, I do have to pay rent. I do have a car payment. I do have X, Y, and Z, but I don't need to keep working for the next best thing. I don't need a mansion or 1,000 cars to be happy in this world. In fact, if I get those things, I often realize, okay, I got it, but I'm still not happy. So Bhagavad Gita asks us to just tune into the things in life that money can't buy. Uh, Bhagavad Gita and both Yoga Sutras teach us that we are a soul moving through this human experience, And the nature of our soul is all loving, all knowing, and all blissful. The nature, I'm going to say that again. The nature of our soul is all loving, all knowing, and all blissful. And by nature, the nature of sugar is sweet. The nature of water is wet. If I take that sweetness out of sugar, it's not sugar anymore. If I take that wetness out of water, not water anymore. If I take the qualities of being all loving, all blissful, and all knowing out of my soul, it's not a soul anymore. So we're trying to connect to those qualities and those principles as we navigate this material existence. So Bhagavad Gita. Then we've got Yoga Sutras. Specifically in Yoga Sutras, there are some teachings called the Yamas and the Niyamas. They're basically like ethical guidelines that provide a framework to how to align our actions with our inner values. Often in yoga philosophy, there's this understanding that I cause myself pain when I'm seeking what will make me happy immediately versus what will make me happy in the long run or throughout the duration of my life. The immediate happiness fixes are kind of like staying out all night, I don't know, or buying a million things I can't afford just to get that rush versus long-term care for myself. And really often when it comes to work, there's definitely been many, many times I've said yes to way too many things. And I've seen people, I've seen friends, family, clients say yes to too many things because they're operating from a place of lack and of fear. If I don't do this right now, this is not going to happen. And then often they get stuck in the cycle of now I have to take 20 icky jobs instead of really navigating and pushing towards what I'm really aiming for. And then bringing in Ayurvedic self care. So, Ayurveda teaches us the balance begins with you. When I care for myself, when you care for yourself, you're able to serve others better. So, right, if I'm not caring for myself, who am I gonna be for other people? Uh, and that has happened to me before. There definitely were times when I was overcommitting myself and I just was not showing up for clients the way that I needed to. So, a question to contemplate. You might maybe write this down. You might think about it. You might bookmark it and take it for later. But what does balance look like in your work and life? Write one sentence that defines it for you. What does balance look like in your work and life? Write one sentence that defines it for you. Once again, no rush. You can stick with this and contemplate it for as long as you need to. And I'm moving on, just talk a little bit about peace. So what drains you? What is it that's draining me? The first step to harmony is awareness. Sometimes I'm just caught up in the race of everything and I'm going, going, going. And then I get home, I hit the pillow, and then I wake up, I do it all over again. And I don't know why I'm drained. I don't know why on my day off, I just sleep all day or I have brain fog. I can't make a decision. It's because I haven't paused and taken into account what it is that's actually draining me. Sometimes it might not even be my work life. It might be that I'm overcommitting to social stuff, right? I might be overcommitting to certain family things that I feel bad saying no to. It's not always about work. It's really finding the balance between everything. So by identifying what's costing you your peace, you can start making some changes from there. Some examples of what I mean, these are some things that definitely have drained me. That's why I'm giving these examples. Saying yes out of guilt or fear. I'm afraid that if I say no to somebody, that they're going to think less of me. If I say no to this job, I won't get asked again. If I say no to this situation or this invitation, I'm going to be forgotten. Or I feel bad. I feel so bad that I have to say no to this, and because I feel so terrible, I'm not going to say no. Accepting low paying classes because you feel you should. That is a big one that comes up. And I'm speaking again from my own experience in the yoga world, in the yoga industry. Um, there is this funny dynamic where, right, I just talked about a few moments ago that the Yoga Sutras, these ancient texts, teach us we do not need material things to be happy. Then I go and create a career out of teaching yoga where I want to get paid. That way I can maintain and sustain a life that's making me pretty happy. uh, you don't need to feel bad for asking for more money. It doesn't mean just because you're a yoga teacher or just because you're studying these principles, it does not mean that I have to worry about where my next meal is coming from. It does not mean that I need to freak out about whether or not I'm going to be able to pay my mortgage or my rent. It doesn't mean that I need to worry, oh gosh, I feel like I should charge X amount of money, but now I can't even drive to the client because I need money for gas, right? Uh, Things just don't add up there. And something big is also that money is an exchange of energy. Money is an exchange of energy. If I am offering up a service, if I'm showing up, I'm putting my energy into that. That is my energy, and that's something that I have taken the time to prepare. It's something I care dearly about. So the energy exchange in many situations is payment. It's money. So with that, that was something that really helped me start to navigate how to stop operating from these places of lack. Overcommitting without considering your energy or time. That's another, just saying yes to everything. Yeah, I want to do it. I'm afraid to say no, and now I've double booked myself, or now I don't have time to sleep the amount of time that I need to sleep. And so again, a little offering is you may write down 2 to 3 things that regularly drain your energy. So take a moment and do that, writing down. You could even write one thing down if you prefer, but one, 2, or 3 things that regularly drain your energy. It doesn't need to be daily, it could be something that's weekly, whatever regularly means to you. And if you're inspired to, you can reflect on one or all of those. Why do I keep saying yes to this? What is the cost? And also just a reminder, all of this is it's super personal. It's for you, it's for self-reflection. Another reminder that if you want to sit with those questions for a little bit longer, please do. And you might even return to those on another day as well. So for a lot of this stuff, might a lot of these questions, a lot of these topics, and this content might be the first time you're hearing some of this as well. So let it sink in. Definitely let it sink in. These are just some ways to start to shift the mindset. So I brought up the phrase or the term dharma before. Your unique purpose is your guide. When you align with your dharma or your life's purpose, everything else becomes clear. Dharma, this concept of dharma, right? What my life purpose, my purpose here on planet Earth. I don't know. I don't know. I had a joke going on for a very long time that I still didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. And over time, it definitely started to become more and more clear for me. A little personal story with me: I started teaching yoga regularly in full time yoga teacher in I believe it was 2009, and I did that full time right through 2020. So in 2020, I don't think I have to remind everybody that a lot of things started to get shut down. The whole yoga industry, as I knew it, was seemed like it was crumbling, and I just started to try to pivot and make other shifts and changes. And I was looking at other things to do for work, but I kept getting thrown back into the yoga world. I kept getting tossed back into the wellness industry. Different, it wasn't even that different opportunities were coming up, but different just pieces of inspiration kept showing up. I remember I'd struggled for a long time with my own personal, my own private yoga practice through me, just me moving on my own on my mat with nothing else to do. And that came back to me during that time. And it was something that I really couldn't shake. And it felt so much like a sign that, okay, this is coming back to you. You've been given this time to actually sink back into your own yoga practice. Wow, this is why I remember why I love it, and also why it's so important to share it with other people. I kept getting glimmers of that, of little bits like that. And when I started to lean into it and starting to say yes to myself, different job opportunities started to line up. So it's not always like as woo woo as that, but I was really trying to push heavy and hard to steer away from the yoga world, the yoga industry. And I really, it was like I was getting slapped in the face with signs from the universe to not do that. It was actually becoming difficult to not do that. So that may start to happen with you when you actually sit and think, okay, what is my purpose in life? What is my dharma? What's showing up for me? What is it that's getting me out of bed in the morning? Detachment. I just talked a lot on Dharma. Detachment. Release guilt and fear. Saying no to misaligned opportunities opens the door to what truly matters. It's okay to say no. Uh, a bit of information, not information, a bit of like some of the best advice that I've gotten in my life is that no is a complete sentence. Can you cover this class for me? No, sorry. Uh, don't even have to say sorry. Um, I'm running late. Can you stay a little bit later? No, I can't. No, no is a complete sentence. I don't need to give a reason to somebody as to why I'm not doing something or why I can't do something. I don't need to give someone a reason as to why I can't help them out. I don't need to give them a reason. No is a complete sentence. Alignment. Your yeses should reflect your values and goals. Say yes to what supports your growth. That's a big one, right? Uh, and a lot of this also, this is sort of like a little bit of like harmony in the hustle express. But in our bigger course, we really unpack finding out, discovering, understanding Dharma, understanding how to actually say no and be detached with grace and feel like I'm really embodying it when I say it. So that way it comes off in a way that makes an impact, and I'm not getting any kind of negativity back at me because of it. We learn about how to actually align with values. What are my values? What is it that's important to me? And then how do I actually make the time and the space and create energy around those values? That way, my choices start to align with those values. I talk a lot about limiting beliefs. So, limiting beliefs, when I first started learning about limiting beliefs, what they are, it was just a transformational practice for me. If you're not too sure about what a limiting belief is, a limiting belief is there's one right here, right? So, if I say no, I'll miss out on opportunities. Is that always the case? No, it's not. Uh, there's definitely a much bigger practice on uncovering limiting beliefs that I have, that you have, and understanding where they came from. Because most of the time, I'm not creating these limiting beliefs. It's because of experiences that have happened to me. It's because of miscommunication. It's because of things that I was told from somebody else's insecurities, and the way that I've actually managed those in my life. They become limiting beliefs. We do talk much more in depth about those and how they've gotten in the way and really just uncovering them. But right, a pretty common one is if I say no, I'll miss out on opportunities. Where the heck did that come from? That's not the case. That's not true. That is not always true. And that's sometimes it's flat out not true. If I say no to something, that means that I'm honoring my time and my energy. if I say no to something, it's probably because I can't do it or because I'm not inspired to do it. I don't not wanting to do something is actually something to look at. If I get asked to do something and I have a strong aversion towards it and I don't want to do it, that's the moment to sit with that and think, okay, why did I just say no? I thought I really wanted to teach this yoga class at this time slot, and I'm finding myself wanting to say no. Sometimes it's fear. Am I not good enough? Am I not strong enough? Is whatever that might be. And that's another sort of side of things that we'll look at. But if I'm kind of just feeling like I don't want to do it, ugh, then that's something to really dig into and something to really unpack for sure. But reframing limiting beliefs, saying no creates space for aligned opportunities. So when we reframe, when we figure out a limiting belief that if I look into my limiting beliefs and I acknowledge them, then I'm able to state them and then I can reframe them where they're no longer belief systems that hold me back from opening up and unlocking my true potential or my true happiness, really. Right? Saying no creates space for aligned opportunities. A little on the Yamas and the Niyamas. So we're not going to dive into all of them. And if you're not familiar with what Yamas and Niyamas are, it's totally fine. They're kind of like principles, as I touched on before. They're like these yogic principles on how to live a little bit more of a life that's aligned and in tune with not suffering. Some that are just a few that I picked out are ahimsa or nonviolence, right? Protecting my energy, saying no is self-care. Satya or truthfulness, to be honest about my limits and my priorities. Also, how could I be honest with my limits and my priorities to other people if I've not yet taken the time to find out what my limits and my priorities are and actually be honest with myself? A stay or non-stealing, valuing my time. Am I throwing my time away? Am I giving my time away to unnecessary situations? Svadhyaya or self study, regularly reflecting on my business practices. And if you're inspired to, you might maybe think about a yama or niyama that just resonated with you, or with any current challenge that you started to uncover so far. And you might think about how you can apply it right now, or sit with that for a little bit. I'm just going to go back to the ones that I had up, right? So protecting my energy, being honest about my limits and priorities, valuing my time, regularly reflecting on my business practices. And just a reminder, yet again, I'm going to keep moving forward. You can pause here and you can always return to this anytime you want. Why is it so hard to say no? How many people have trouble saying no? Some people are so good at saying no. Can you do this for me? No. Can you meet me here? No. Can you sub the class for me? No. Can you change the appointment? Can you rearrange your schedule? People, I have some really solid people in my life who are so good at saying no. It's work for me to say no. It's a lot of work for me to say no. It's something that I've personally had to work hard on, and it's something that really took a lot of unpacking for me. But there's fear of disappointing others, worry about being seen as unkind or ungrateful. And can you create a framework for saying no, right? Start with gratitude. Thank you for thinking of me. And then be really clear. I'm not able to commit to this right now. And then, if possible, or if it's something that you're inspired to do, you could create an alternative for that. Maybe X, Y, and Z would work instead. Uh, that can be with a lot of things that are happening in life. It does not have to be specific to your yoga business or your whatever business you might be in. It could just be for anything in life right now, right? Creating a framework to say no. So we'll take a little bit of time on this one, but if you're inspired to write down one situation where you struggled to say no recently. Practice writing a response using the framework that we just saw on the previous slide. Start with gratitude. Thank you so much for thinking of me. Be clear, I'm unable to commit to this right now. Offer an alternative. So perhaps this would work instead. You don't have to offer an alternative. You don't have to offer that. You could always say, thank you for thinking of me. I can't do it. Sentence ends there. And again, I know it's not always possible to just come up with something right here, right now that maybe you've been struggling with. These are all totally just invitations to return to sit with. You can always come back to these if you need to. And for sure, you could pause this if you want. You can stop here if you want and take some more time on this. But a little bit of insight to close with is recognize what drains your energy. Notice when you're feeling drained. Recognize, I'm so tired right now. What did I just do today? And notice what's going on. Notice when you feel drained, and if it's not clearly because you didn't eat or didn't sleep, notice what it is that's happening. A lot of the time, it's not just physical, it's very mental drain happens too. Thinking too much, trying to make everybody happy, worrying that I'm not doing enough, I'm not receiving enough, I'm not caring enough. Worry will drain our energy. Align work with your purpose or your dharma. And again, in our bigger training, we talk a bit more about uncovering dharma, understanding what it is that gets me up in the morning, what it is that I'm inspired to do, and what it is that sparks my energy and makes me smile throughout the day. Connecting with that is something that's important, and also doing work with that kind of enthusiasm is what creates this harmony in the hustle. We can't always get rid of the hustle. I mean, a lot of us are humans, right? That have to work. We have to make money. We have to actually take care of the things that we have and the people that we have in our lives very often. So there needs to be a little bit of that work ethic, that hustle. But I don't need to get drained from it. I don't need it to take over my life. There needs to be the harmony that moves me through life. That way I'm happy to go to work. We want to be happy when we go to work. Say no with clarity and confidence. That's a big one. If there is like a key takeaway from this specific class that I would love for everybody to walk away with is to be able to say no to something if you're somebody that has trouble saying no. Remember that no is a complete sentence. No is a complete sentence. And then harmony in the hustle starts with you, right? When you prioritize your self care and alignment, that's when you can serve others fully. Uh, on just to flip it right back on me, there have been times for sure throughout my life that I was doing a lot. I was taking a ton of trainings, I was in school, I was working a ton, and doing all of this to be more present with people, but it didn't feel like I was being fully present with clients and with students and even with the people that I loved, because I had all this extra worry and all this frenetic kind of energy going on about all these other things I thought that I had to do. I wasn't serving others fully because I wasn't connected to my own unique alignment. And that's something that it's personal for everybody. There's for sure steps on how to figure that out. And some of the journaling prompts that you've done that I had on the screen throughout this class, go back to those for sure. Go back to those if you didn't have a chance to dive into those in this sitting. Go back to those and sit with them for a little bit and revisit them for sure. And that can be just totally transformational. I've been saying transformational a lot throughout this entire class, and that's because these concepts and these practices were just that for me. It really helped me get out of this cycle of I feel stuck in this work situation. I feel stuck in this money situation. I feel really confined to doing this, and that because I'm afraid of shining this forward. I moved out of a lot of those limiting beliefs and a lot of those spaces through some of the practices that are a part of a bigger training that is actually kicks off soon. So harmony in the hustle training.